Republicans in the state of Arizona just cannot get over the fact that Joe Biden won their state. And so even though they had a vote recount that actually came to an end earlier this past week, they were about to hand the ballots back over to Maricopa County, because that's the only place they wanted to double check the ballots. But instead, they decided at the last minute, you know what, we're going to hold on to these because we're going to do another recount. Now, keep in mind, these recounts, the one that just ended, the one that they're about to do, have nothing to do with the ballot audit that is still taking place in the state of Arizona 2.5 months now with cyber ninjas. So that's a totally separate thing. Like, that's still happening. And while that's happening, they just did a recount, and now they're saying, you know what, screw it. We didn't find what we wanted. Let's count them again. Except this time they said they're not counting the votes. We just want to count the ballots. Just to make sure that, the number of ballots matches up with the number of people, and, literally could have already done that. And I'm sure, by the way, since you did go through and you recounted the votes, I'm sure there's a tally somewhere in that spreadsheet that shows how many total ballots there were and how many were counted. This is ridiculous. This is getting laughable at this point. It would be laughable, at least, if it wasn't just a direct attack on our democratic processes here in the United States, which is exactly what this is. But these idiots that the Republican Party keeps putting up and basically getting elected in the state of Arizona are making a mockery of everything. And by the way, the recount that just finished earlier last week, before the new recount that they just announced, that wasn't even the first recount. At this point, we're on like the 4th recount. And not a single time after recounting these ballots over and over and over and over, and by the way, they've also already done independent audits outside of the Cyber Ninja one, no fraud. No fraud. There's no evidence of, the bamboo shards because the ballots were sent over from Asia. That didn't happen. There's no evidence of dead people voting, like Republicans like to say. There's no evidence of illegal immigrants coming in and voting for Biden to get rid of Trump. None of it happened. And they all already know that. This is nothing more than idiotic political theater put on by some of the dumbest representatives in this country. That's what's happening in Arizona. And every single citizen in Arizona needs to be ashamed of what is happening in their state right now. How many more recounts is it going to take before these idiots finally agree, you know what? Trump didn't win the state. Sorry, buddy. We know you thought you did, but it simply didn't happen. And the answer is, quote Mean Girls here, the limit does not exist. These Republicans in Arizona would be perfectly happy recounting these ballots every single day for the rest of their careers if it meant placating Donald Trump and making him happy. There's real problems here in the United States that these individuals in the Arizona State House could be addressing. They could be working for their constituents. They could be trying to take care of them. But they're not. They're putting on this ridiculous political theater. The voters in the state, by the way, according to the most recent polls, no longer support the audits and the recounts and all this crap. The voters are sick of it. So the Republicans are doing this to their own detriment. And I hope that each and every one of them that has basically prolonged this charade, I hope they all pay a political price for it the next time they're up for re-election. Because that is what they deserve for what they've done to our democratic processes in their state.